Hello, welcome everyone. I'm Michael Sillion, and I call myself Captain Future for a lot of reasons, and I will go through them. Why that is important, and why I do that in this coming. It's 20 minutes I have, right?
Yeah, 20, a bit longer. I mean, depends on the next speaker, but most people are chill to start later.
Yeah. So I live in Sweden and have done so all my life, and I haven't traveled much in my life. I went to Hong Kong in 1994 and as a class trip for a graduation, and that's what was one of my great moments. I will come to that. And after that, I've traveled a lot the last 5 years, but otherwise than that, I've been home in Sweden much of my life and lived a safe Swedish life without too much wisdom, actually. So that's the journey I've been on for the last 10 years that I'm going to talk about here. So I grew up in a small town, coastal town here. Let's see, just like a small coastal town on the west coast of Sweden. And really never left it until I was 15 or something like that. I traveled inside Sweden a lot, but didn't understand much of my life. But I was always a gamer and a science fiction fan since I was little. I loved rocket and science fiction movies and TV series, whatever we got here in Sweden, like Star Wars and stuff like that. And in 1994, I had my first internet and social media experience. We were going on a graduation trip to Hong Kong, we decided. So we find the funds, and I started to, I just went online on internet and see what can I do to help in that journey. I was really shy back then, but I was very curious about computers and internet. So I contacted the Hong Kong University and via the email address they had there. Then they led me to 3 people I started emailing with, and they told me much about Hong Kong and what's going on there, and we decided to meet up with them when we came down there. So for me, it was the first, what I would call a learning journey for me. So when we got there, there was a local student there that took her home to our family, taught us how to eat with pins, and how some local customs in Hong Kong and things like that. And it was an amazing experience that stayed with us for a whole trip. We were down there, so but I didn't know much about it. So, but I hung around on internet in all kinds of social media that came early in 1996, 97, IRC, ICQ, all kinds of web chats that popped up in 98, and the big social media platform that nobody knows about outside Sweden called Lunarstorm. Looked like Facebook. You had a wall on your page that you wrote on and stuff like that. So we thought this was normal everywhere in the world, but it wasn't until Facebook came later. So, and then I was super interested in social media, and I worked in the IT industry until 2011, when I quit my job and said I want to do something with my life that is connected to a connected world, and also saving the planet in some way or shape or form. And in that, I took myself upon a journey of not having a regular job since for the last 10 years then. And I've been meeting so many fantastic people and learning so many things. And I got a bit of funding when my parents left me. I took their heritage and I started traveling the world and started a consulting company and everything. And it's been an amazing journey, meeting friends and people all over the world and learning so much. And in 2015, some friends in the course of me, I asked them, who should I be? And they said, you always talk about the future and you're a big fan of geek culture, science fiction, superhero culture. So you should be a superhero called Captain Future, they said to me. And okay, I said, I can do that. And I've always had my hair like this. I have this for 22 years now, since the Matrix came out. but I'm always dressed up in like half silly clothes. So this suited me perfect to call myself Captain Choo Choo by then. So that's what we call living and walking outside the box, doing it for real. So many people talk about creativity and that you have to think outside the box and live outside the box, but they seldom walk the walk. They just talk the talk. So I decided to actually do this for real. How can you navigate an adult world looking and thinking like me, living and walking outside the box? So that's what I decided to do, and it's not been easy. So this is part of my journey, and in that you have to realize that life is a lifelong journey. Mine has been explosive the last couple of years, and I've been slumbering in the early years. And but you don't have to do that like me. You can actually do it when you're younger. Start the learning journey of your life and explore life. And it's a long journey. Wisdom comes with age. You can get most people never get what we call wise. There's a funny quote I used to share. It says wisdom comes with age, but sometimes age just comes alone. And that's the point. Like you have to work for your wisdom. You have to understand yourself and the world better, and you can start that journey when you're young, and trust that it will come later in life. You will understand the world, and you should never become too overconfident to think that you understand how the world works and how you works at any age. I don't do that yet still, and that's part of being curious, always being curious and say I don't know that, but I can read up about it. I can hang on Clubhouse to find out more. And certainly I've been on Clubhouse around the clock for the last 7 weeks now, and it's been an amazing accelerating journey, finding out more about how the world works and talk to people in so many bubbles and spheres and silos in all over the world to connect the dots. So that's what I do. I connect the dots. How does people in this bubble think and experience the world, and how can I learn from that to connect the dots in another bubble and stuff like that. So trust in the process, and that's the bubbles. Everyone live in their world. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are, and that's the challenge, to continuously expand how you see the world, and then realize that the way I see the world this year is not the way the world is. There are so many things I don't know. So continually expand your bubble, meet new people in different spheres, and make friends with them. Make friends in different worlds, parts of the world, in different industries, in different way of living. Because one of the most important rules, there's many names of it. Some say find the others. Some say you are the average of the 5 friends you spend the most time with, and some say call it ontological design, that everything you experience design you back. We design the world, and the world design us back. That's called ontological design, and it means that the time you spend time on, the things you spend time on the places, the people, the books, the TV series, the games, the workplaces, everything you spend time on designs you back. And if you're open to experience, you learn something. If you're not open to experience, you can just shrug it off and walk through life and not learn anything. So that's you spend time on things, and you spend time in the right mind and frame to actually notice things and learn things, to being curious. And you should always have fun doing it and playful. I played a lot of games in my whole life: board games, card games, computer games, role-playing games, and you have to realize that the whole of society is a game. Money is a game. You can see that especially now when things are starting happening, when gamers are coming online and engaging Wall Street and stuff like that. You realize that money is a game, and it's rigged. Not in our favor, and as soon as you realize that, you can start to see the rules, and you can see how things are rigged, and you can be curious and learn more about things like that. Have fun, explore things, have a gameful mind. And also there's something called what we call flow states. There's a fantastic book called Stealing Fire by Stephen Kotler and Jamie Wheel. I wholly recommend that. That's about flow states, and flow states is many things. It's low energy flow states. That's when you can sit and play a game for hours, or read on Wikipedia, or read a book without noticing that time's go by. Then you have high energy flow state. Then that's when your pulse is high. That's things you do when you go run. You call it runner's high. You get it when you do all kinds of sports. And it's even better when you do team sports, because you trigger from others, and you get it when you go dancing and clubbing and raving. I've been a clubber and raver my whole life, and I started experience flow states way before. I never taken drugs, and way before I started drinking alcohol as well. I started experiencing this incredibly high state of energy while dancing. I could dance for hours in a euphoric state, and that's what we call high energy flow states. And that's something you have to explore as well. What puts you into flow, and explore that further. It's not the same for everyone. I have later learned, I thought everyone got in this high energy state when they dance, but that's not the case. I found out later in life. And so find out what puts you into flow, both what you can spend hours upon being curious, and but also what puts you in the high energy flow. If it's running, some sport, dancing, some people go into extreme sport to get that kick as well. And that could be both good and dangerous at the same time. So you have to ask around and see or try things to see what puts you into flow. But flow state is certainly the way we go forward as humanity. There's something deeper there when we connect unconsciously to each other when we're in high energy flow state, at least. And that's what Stealing Fire is about. Navy SEALs and many others are doing research on this now. There's a whole movement in California around this as well, but that connects it to tech that measure things. We call it trans-tech movements. So look into that if you're curious at all about that. Whew. And there are certainly shortcuts in life as well. But some shortcuts are usually dead end as well. But you have to find out what things I don't want to spend many years doing, not learning anything. But some things you can learn about even if it's boring and tedious. But don't spend too much time on it if you feel that this is also a dead end. So. Go to unexpected places. That when you do unexpected things, so just do things you never thought you should do, that's when you learn things as well. So they both have this mindset that everything is valuable. I don't see my life wasted, even if I spend much of it not knowing that I could actually spend my life seeking wisdom. I have learned from that as well, because I spend much of that time playing games and engaging in science fiction and loving that. So I have learned a lot of what from science fiction and games, and in retrospect I have meditated about what I have learned over those years, and I have used that in my life now, because that's an experience no one else has. So think about your past experience and meditate upon them and see what you have learned that no one else has learned, because we're all unique. We all have our own palette and toolbox we bring into this world. So even nothing is really wasted, but certainly the sooner you realize that, that's easy to say, why did I do that for so many years? Why didn't I go on a different path? Why was I stuck in that place? And that can be a lot of reasons why. Financial reasons, family reasons, social reasons, geographical reasons and stuff like that. But as soon as we now have amazing tools like Zoom and internet and now Clubhouse, you can go explore on a much broader level, much faster. But always be humble and curious on this trip. And I've always been a lazy person as well, and creativity leads to laziness. See, if I can solve a tedious task being creative, that's a way forward as well. Many inventions in our modern society have coming from lazy people trying to solve tedious tasks in a creative way. So that's not a problem per se, but many people said to be successful you have to work hard and long hours. That has never been my case, because I could never bring myself to do that. So I had to be creative and lazy instead, and that's gotten me to my path where I am now. So find the others, be curious and have fun, and find your flow states. That's my advice.
Oh my God, thanks so much for joining. It's worth mentioning that you have to be 18 to join Clubhouse, right? So we're not promoting Clubhouse to teenagers, but would like to have
bring an adult, bring an 18-year-old friend and listen in the background then.
Yeah, that's for them to decide.
Yeah, that's maybe for them to decide. You shouldn't do anything illegal. That's not recommended anywhere. So.
Yeah. So we could try to have this kind of dialogue here with the Wisdom Accelerator, which is specifically made for teenagers, of course, respecting the rules.
Yeah.
And I'd have one question for you before we move on to the next speaker. It would be, how can teenagers get involved with futurism? And then can you tell us a bit more how being a futurist can become a career, as in part-time or full-time job?
Yeah, that's the step part. Find a futurist, of course, a local, or find them on the internet and start engaging with them. Do calls. Many futurists like me is happy to mentor young people. So find a futurist. Even reach out to me if you can find me on the internet. And then that's the task. You have to be curious enough to find them and know how to look for them, and you have to be humble enough to ask for help in the right way. So
you can actually study futurism. So there are degrees that focus on becoming a futurist. Are you aware of a few of those? Can you tell us a bit more about them?
I'm self-taught in everything. So read books, watch science fiction, think about what it is that is right and wrong when you watch science fiction or read science fiction books and things like that. And there's a lot of science fiction games as well. But reflect, have a journal, write or talk, audio journal, I recommend. Just talk every day, talking to you. If you have a mobile phone, there's a voice recorder there. Talk to that to yourself so you can listen in the morning to see what you think and reflect about anything. So you can teach yourself, but there are certainly probably courses in futurism if you're interested in that as well. So, but I have always been self-taught in things like this. So.
Yeah, having a diary is a very good bit of advice. And not many people do that, especially teenagers. They tend to be fairly impatient. I mean, I did have a diary and where I would put some notes when I was in that age, but now I'm doing that quite methodically for the last 10 years or so. And I just use the notes on the iPhone, and I print them at the end of the year. And I spent most of the year 2020 stuck at home like everybody else. I had 340 pages of notes that I took, literally a thick book of ideas and concepts. And now that it's printed, I can literally go through all my thoughts over that period of 12 months. Some of them would sound ridiculous. Some of them would sound great. Some of them would lead me into action. But the fact that the notes were taken and they were revised after a cool-off period of several months makes them even more valuable, right? They pretty much say, okay, I'm no longer the person I was a year ago. And who is the person I'm going to be a year from now? This is going to help me find the path there. So I completely agree that taking notes and writing a diary can be extremely helpful to make the right decisions, whatever they are.
Yeah, exactly. I was 10 years when I started writing diary, and so I still have them, and they're very painful to read. Oh my God, did I think this?
There you go. But they are secret, right? So
yeah, they're secret. Yeah. But nowadays, many people put all their thoughts and things on the internet, and of course, if you can stand for the things you say and think when you put it on all kinds of apps and things like that, do it. But be careful, especially for yourself, because you have to go through it yourself someday.
Yeah, that's great, Marcus. So thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you guys are having a good winter in Sweden. That you'll be able to travel again in a few months.
Yeah,
and great to have your opinions, and feel free to stick around. We have one final session now, but we'll be back in 4 hours or so for the California edition. Basically, for our American friends to be able to join that during reasonable hours, and they'll be back tomorrow as well with another 8 hours of conversations. So thanks again.
There's a YouTube link somewhere as well for this, right?
Yeah, just go to our website in neoway.org. You have the YouTube icon with the link, and people can join there and watch the past sessions there.
Yeah.
All right.
Great.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Take care.
Love you all.
Bra. Cheers. Bye.